Okay, two people on, that counts. Hi, welcome to the show. How are you? Here we are again. And yes, it does say as F because I discovered that today's show all had song titles with F in them. So instead of getting the F out, I'm actually getting the F in the show, and then I'm getting the F out at the rest of y'all. Where do you find rubber therianthropes? That's what I want to know. It's important to know these things. Anyway, I was rummaging around in my backlog. I have a backlog of songs that aren't quite done or fragments of songs that I've written. And there's one that I wrote very briefly, very short song, inspired by a piece of animal husbandry equipment. I am not making this up. I'll find a picture of it later on, but if you look it up, it's actually like a thunder shirt, a compression garment for nervous goats. I can't make this up. And it's called a goat tube. And when I saw that, I thought, that deserves to be a song. And so I wrote a song called Goat Tube, or at least I've written music for a song called Goat Tubes. It currently has exactly one lyric, well, two lyrics technically, because we're just starting and I feel like it, and it's my dang show. I'm going to give you a quick burst of what it sounds like. Goat tube! Goat tube! People coming early have no idea what's going on now. Yeah! And this is Goat Tube. So that's what Goat Tube sounds like. There will be more of it. I am going to multi-track this because clearly it needs to have a bass line and maybe some drums and maybe some other instruments. And in fact, if you are watching this live or in reruns, because I know I'm big in syndication, and you have an instrument and you want to accompany me on this song, let me know through whatever channel you feel is appropriate. Because what I want to do is I want to like multi-track this and have this be an almost crowdsourced song, but among people who actually know me, because that way there are fewer issues. Also, I am more than willing to have more than one person go yeah at the end of the bridge there. So that has killed enough time that I now have 3 viewers on Twitch. By the way, I'm almost up to having an average of 1 viewer per show on Twitch. I have to get up to 3 viewers per show, and then apparently I am eligible for a pony or something. Anyway, but I digress frequently. We will get to the first song in the show today, which is in fact a song that was suggested by my friend Richard, Patreon patron Richard, for or about Patreon patron Teppo, who is our man in Finland. He's the one who inspired the Snowing in Helsinki song, which I played several times. And it is, in fact, Our Man in Finland. Which is just, I can get totally lost in this song because of the groove on it. Seriously, I have to pay attention. Long nights, cold days, up north, just a ways, blind cyclist through the dawn, got his goggles and his helmet on. A man in Finland, a man in Finland. No days sitting around, gotta get up, head into town, find the way out to the square. Got some Fenix waiting there for a man in Finland, a man in Finland. Bridge. One day, a solo, maybe. The square, taking the sight, then right off into Helsinki night. Call sorry Connie, not the plan. All Helsinki respects the man, a man in Finland, a man in Finland. Finland, a man in Finland. Hey, those of you who came in the middle of Our Man in Finland, welcome to the Troubadork as F show. All the songs that I'm doing today have the word with the letter F in the title, and we're going to end with, you know what? Or maybe you don't know what. I mean, I can never tell anymore whether or not anyone actually has any idea what I'm talking about. But that's okay. As long as I have you here, Word Bubbles, I know I'm not alone. Otherwise, I'm just a man babbling into a microphone about whatever. Which pretty much covers every podcast and live cast ever done, doesn't it? I think it does. I think it does. The next song I am going to do is a song which I accidentally wrote. True story. Back last year, near the beginning of it, thank you, Word Bubbles, for being my friend. Yes, the talking bubbles. If you're older, you know there's a difference between talking bubbles and scrubbing bubbles. A big difference. A lot of scouring involved in scrubbing bubbles. But again, I digress. I wrote this next song when I was trying to write a different song. I was trying to write a song for my friend Jana, who plays Queen Margaret of Scotland and the Isles, and I have yet to actually successfully do that, which is annoying, but there it is. Just one of those things that has happened so far, and instead, I was inspired because there's all these songs about important, noble, valid, heroic people. You know what? I'm going to do it on this one. One sec. I'm going to bring down this instrument because this is a big ballad. So it needs a bigger, deeper voiced instrument. There we go. I have to now remember all the chords. Good. Okay, I can still play it. Excellent. This song was written about a man. The Scrubbing Post, they don't. It's very weird, Jan. But yeah, it's true. It's and they don't short hole either, which, you know, another thing that television lied to us about, sadly. But this is a song known as the Dread Peasant Festus. It's a ballad of a man who started from nothing. And that's precisely where he remained. It says, play with unjustified grandeur. He came from a tiny village just outside of Aberdeen, and his face, it was not noble, and his clothes, they were not clean. But there's often been a hero that has come from such a start. Our man Festus wasn't one of them. He was neither brave nor smart. There are heroes, myths, and legends that are known throughout the land. But the dreaded peasant Festus was not that man. There are some men bound for glory, bound for riches or for fame, and among the noble roll call, you will not find Festus's name. For his voice, it was not noble, nor his bearing very fine, and he towered over no one at the height of 4'9". There are heroes, myths, and legends that are known throughout the land, but the dreaded peasant Festus was not that man. But from lowly circumstances, some men rise among the rest. Not that Festus ever tried hard, well, that there is was my own guess. But in noble battle, some men can achieve beyond compare. And on the battlefield of Hastings, our man Festus was not there. There are heroes, myths, and legends that are known throughout the land, but the dreaded peasant Festus was not that man. Thoughtful part. There are legendary figures doomed to fade away obscure, and our peasant Festus suits that. At least we think we're pretty sure. There is not much known of Festus. Peasantry builds little pride. Matter of fact, all that we're sure of. Well, we're we're all pretty sure he died. There are hills, myths, and legends that are known throughout the land. But the dreaded peasant Festus was not that man, and that's the end of that song. Yes, welcome, Alicia, to the bubbles. And Joseph, I know that I've been in that situation myself, and you know what I remember? The way I remember his name is that there is an alternate. There are actually verses to the song, the theme song that you hear in Game of Thrones, and it goes, Peter Dinklage, 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 Peter Dinklage. And that's how I remember it. So, could be useful one day. Anyway, let me put this one away. I'm going to put this one away. Where do I go with this? I don't know. Let me think about this, because the next song I'm going to do is a song that I found when I was rummaging around, as I mentioned earlier, in my backlog, and I found a song that I had started to write, and then I kind of didn't, to put it delicately. I do this one, I think. No, you know what? It sounds better on the other one. This is where I'm becoming a real music nerd, because there are some songs that sound better on the baritone ukulele than on the tenor ukulele. Also, I have a baritone ukulele and a tenor ukulele. That's another sign that I'm becoming a music nerd. I got multiple musical instruments here. I don't even understand it myself. But the next song I'm going to do is actually based on a real thing that's really happened to me. Back in 2018. Remember 2018? Only 40 years ago? Sure feels like it. And what happened was, I was on a walking tour with my lovely wife, Amy. Yeah, see, there you go. We just swap. It's a different voice. See, Alicia understands. I barely understand, but that's because I'm a dilettante. I really don't have any skill, talent, or anything else. I'm just large, loud, and occasionally garishly colored. Today, I am not. So I have to resort to just being large and loud. But this next song is one which, yep, is a true story. I was on a walking tour with my wife in San Antonio. We were doing a tour of ghost signs. Now, it's not a ghost tour, but you know how sometimes if you're in a city, especially a city that's been around for a while, you will find the faded remnants of signs. Not billboards, but actual painted on the side of a building advertisements for stores or products or companies, and that they're not there anymore. And they call those ghost signs. And it's a really fascinating thing to go on. If you have one available in the city nearest you, do check it out, because it is neat. And we actually helped him find the tour guide find the source for some sidewalk prisms, which are set in the sidewalk because when the buildings were built, they didn't have electric light, so they had to have light down there in the basement. And during daylight hours, you could do that. The prisms would actually cast light down inside, so it was cool. But what happened during this tour is I had quite possibly the most Austin, Texas injury possible. As I'm walking around on this tour, I tripped over an entire bank of rental scooters. You remember rental scooters? Those of you who have been in big cities? We haven't had quite so many of them, but there was this huge explosion of them in 2018. 4 or 5 different companies all vending out there, all putting the scooters out there, and the scooters would wind up in weird places everywhere. But they would always be on the sidewalk, and this was a whole bank of like 8. And I got both feet caught under the deck of the one on the end after I had dodged 3 or 4 of these banks and just went and came down hard on this side of my body. And apparently I made a squeaking sound when I hit the ground. And being the size I am, me hitting the ground was a cause of concern for everyone involved. I got away with a bruise. I didn't crack anything. I didn't break anything. But it did make it a little more challenging to operate for a few months because it's amazing what you actually need your torso for on a day-to-day basis. And so I wrote a song because I had started to do this whole song thing. And initially this song was written on a slide cigar box guitar, but I'm not as confident on that as I am on this now because I've been playing with this for 3 years. So this is a song that uses what sounds like a lot of imagery for an event of evocative imagery, metaphors, for something that actually happened. Tripped over scooters, gawking at some signs. See what I mean? Already. I'm headed for the pavement at the moment I feel fine. I'm falling down, I'm falling down, here comes the ground. The road rose to meet me, how could it come to this? I've thrown myself at the earth and I don't think I'll miss. I'll try a different D chord this time. I'm falling down, I'm falling down, here comes the ground. That sounds good. Bridge. It's an awful long way from upright to prone. But this is a journey I must take on my own. People talking at me, wonder what I will do. But I've committed to this trip, I guess I'll have to see it through. Gravity's demanding, there's no place to hide. 'Cause I got consequences at the end of my ride. I'm falling down, I'm falling down, here comes the ground. Gotta cheat now. Because you know what? There's another verse, but I can't read it on the screen because I need to scroll down. I'm scrolling down, I'm scrolling down, I'm such a clown. There we go. Last verse. The end is now in sight, ain't it something which I'd boast? The stuff that happens after is what worries me most. I'm falling down, I'm falling down, here comes the ground. I'm falling down, I'm falling down, here comes the ground. It's getting closer. I'm falling down, I'm falling down, here comes a... Not bad. I'm going to have to definitely format the screen over here that I'm pointing at a little bit more, but I kind of like that. It's on the slide guitar. It's a lot of that sort of thing, which isn't quite as cool as it sounds on a ukulele. It doesn't sound as cool on a ukulele as it does on a bass. Yes, we are all victims of physics, of which I also wrote a song. I write many songs. I'm inspired by all sorts of strange things. Oh, my goodness me. But yes. And so this has been an interesting week. Today I actually did have to go back to the office for the day job because the office building that I work in was constructed with Carter-era electrical wiring, and there's one specific group of offices, it just happens to be accounting, that when there's a power outage and the building's power goes out, when it comes back on, one circuit, just one, flips in the circuit breaker. And it happens to be the circuit for the outlets that power the computers in a very specific part of accounting. Specifically, the head of accounting's office. She panics, calls me. Something's clearly wrong with her computer because she can't turn it on. Never mind the fact that nothing else plugged into these outlets is also working. So for the last 10 years, what happens is I go in this case, I drove in, so 20 minutes over there, went into the circuit breaker room, flipped the circuit breaker, drove home. Welcome to my world. That's part of the reason I'm doing this song, because it is cathartic. Alicia, I'm not certain that you've heard this one on this show, but if you have, then you know that there's a little bit of what I intend to be audience participation near the end. This will be particularly useful if I ever do a live show again, because it's the part that will completely terrify people not watching the show, but who are in range. This show is, of course, the song is, of course, Fernando, the Jumping Spider. My friend Lucky, who is currently over at the Sherwood Forest Fair, told me one time that anytime they encounter a jumping spider, they always name it Fernando. And I just discovered this chord. I thought, I should write a song. And I should write it with flamenco verses, chords. So I had to learn the chords. 8 little legs and 8 little eyes and 1 heart big as a tree. This tiny valiant jumping spider is a boon companion to me. Fernando, Fernando, the jumping spider. He's friendly. He doesn't want to make you cry, to scream, shout, or to bellow. But when he hops up and lands on your shirt, he just wants to say, hello! Fernando, Fernando, the jumping spider. He's friendly. He is just looking for an amigo, he don't want to make you cry. But when he leaps up and lands on your shirt, you might just scream really high. Fernando, Fernando, the jumping spider. And friendly! And so we come, having scared the cats and the neighbors, to the conclusion of yet another fairly successful Tobias the Adequate Troubadork non-commute COVID pandemic coping mechanism show here in the room known as Away, in the house known as Ororoki, in an undisclosed location in San Antonio, Texas, where it's in the frickin' 50s, and that is not fair. Too cold out there. It's too cold out there when I went out there this morning. Thank you guys for hanging out with me once again. We will continue to do this Monday through Thursday, about 4:30 to about 5 o'clock, until such time as circumstances all change. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you so much. But you see what I mean. And if you want the chords, just let me know. I will give you the chords. I have absolutely no shame. I will happily share the charts with it. Because if that song goes out and it like terrifies people in shows that I'm not in, I feel good about this. I feel I have expanded my hegemony. I didn't even know I had an hegemony. If you've ever accidentally expanded your hegemony, you know exactly how uncomfortable that can be. We will continue to do this until such time as circumstances change, and then we'll change the schedule, and I'll tell you guys all about it. So let's do a couple of quick capitalistic society things. Absolutely. So, PayPal, .me/theadequate, Venmo, @theadequate. I want to thank Eric, Robert, Rick, Emily, and Miranda for tossing some bucks in the tip jar there. I also want to thank my ridiculously generous and incredibly tolerant Patreon patrons: Jen, Joe, Alexi, Austin, Chris, Tep, O'Shea, Linda, and Stephen, Rob, Alicia, Relly, BK, Richard, Brian, and Lorene, and all my Patreon patrons, past, present, and future, for supporting Adequacy in Our Lifetime. Any money that comes in through Patreon or the tip jars goes to making the show more technically sound. Talent-wise, it's me. What do you want, honestly? What exactly do you expect? It's Tobias the Adequate, so there you go. You can find me on the interwebs at theadequate.com. You can find me at Twitter and Facebook and Instagram at @theadequate. I am Tobias the Adequate on TikTok and Tumblr. I'll be putting more content out on those as a project which is coming to fruition, comes to fruition. What is that project, you ask? Yeah. Artisanal Gibberish Volume 1 is being reprinted by Unruly Voices, an imprint of Paper Angel Press, and that should be happening sometime in May. And I'm going to be doing some, hopefully more studio quality shoots of some of the Artisanal Gibberish stuff. I have some older ones in my YouTube feed from way back under Artisanal Gibberish, but I have even more to do, and so I'm going to be doing that. Also, soundcloud.com/Matthew-Laguerre is where I keep most of my studio recordings. So we will see what happens. Good God. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting Adequacy in Our Lifetime. Without your support, I would not be possible today. And then, of course, there is THUD Bucket Death Metal you can laugh at. Currently available on anything that has the word music in it, including Spotify. And we have 4 videos up on YouTube under THUD Bucket. We will be doing more, most likely. We're all just catching our breath because we threw an awful lot of stuff at the wall and just saw what stuck. And a lot of things stuck, which was kind of cool. And that is about it for me. That's enough out of me for another day. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your friends. Be kind. Be safe. Be silly. Do the things. Be the people. If all else fails, stick around another day out of pure spite. It's worked for me. It could work for you. Y'all have been wonderful. I have been Tobias the Adequate. Thank you for encouraging my behavior. I will see you next time. Take care.